So in this video, I'm going to talk about why expats can sometimes be your worst enemy. Stay tuned.
It's more fun in the Philippines!
All right, so a lot of people come out to the Philippines and they have warnings from other expats and from friends, and they watch YouTube videos, and there's a lot of warnings about be careful of a Filipino who's going to scam you and try to take your money. Other warnings, of how dangerous it is in certain areas. Honestly, in my 4 years now here, really, I've had more problems with expats than I've had with any Filipino. In fact, I've really had problems with Filipinos. I've had really zero. When it comes to being scammed, I've never really been scammed either. I really think it's just common knowledge, or common sense rather, and you can avoid all of that. I mean, it's, you first meet a girl, don't give a large amount of money. If she needs load for her phone, that's fine. If you're in a relationship and she really needs help, then that's a different story. But most of that, I think, can be avoided. Don't go into areas late at night that you're not familiar with and that are strictly Filipino neighborhoods. Don't go into bars that are strictly Filipino bars, and just avoid conflict. Avoid doing business matters, loaning out money and borrowing money. And for the most part, you'll never have any problems here in the Philippines. Most of the time, there's a lot of problems. In fact, recently in the news here, and I'll see if I can find the story and I'll flash it up here, but I believe it was near Manila. Another Australian had some kind of heated argument. I'm not sure what it was all about. I haven't followed up on the story, but it looks like he gunned down the wife and the husband in front of their 2-year-old kid sitting in the car. A lot of times, expats, I know I was walking in Cebu in Ayala Mall one time and was watching some expats get into a really heated argument and got to the point where they were throwing punches. So honestly, it's the expats that I see hanging around getting drunk and starting fights, and they're unruly. Sometimes they don't want to pay a certain fee, and sometimes it amounts to just a few dollars, $1 or $2. It's just like maybe the principle of things. But I hear them arguing with police officers. Now, back in Canada or the US or Australia, I doubt very much you're going to be having some huge argument with a police officer. If you're polite and you do what's asked of you, then there's probably not a problem. But foreigners like to create a lot of problems sometimes, and those problems are our own fault. A lot of that can be avoided. But it'll be expats that sometimes behind your back that you think they're your friends, but behind your back maybe they're like trying to flirt with your girl. I've had that happen to me several times, where I had a girlfriend and a guy who I thought was a friend of mine, is chatting with them and trying to date them behind my back. Now, could that happen in the U.S. or anywhere else? Sure. But here it seems to me, I don't know, it seems like we get the bottom of the barrel of expats that come out to the Philippines. One time I was in the mall, and one foreigner just started yelling out, "Have you been saved? Have you been saved?" and walking through the mall. And I was almost embarrassed to be a foreigner. He's yelling out this nonsense and trying to hand out leaflets, about being saved, and it was just embarrassing. Of course, I was standing not that far away from him, and people are looking at me like I'm somehow associated with him because, I'm an expat and he's an expat, and so somehow we must be, affiliated somehow. But yeah, and so I hear of foreigners And in fact, it's happened to me a few times where other foreigners have asked me for money and want to borrow money. It's foreigners I see out on the street sometimes begging for money. They've lost it all and they're out begging on the streets here in the Philippines. If you can't afford to come up to the Philippines and you don't have a good savings or you don't have steady income, you shouldn't be coming out to a foreign country. I don't get it, but it happens a lot here in the Philippines. Maybe not a lot, but you see it. You see it pretty often in some of the bigger places. Dumaguete, Cebu, Manila. You'll see foreigners who are down on their luck for whatever reason. But that's all I'm trying to say. Basically, is it's the other expats that sometimes you really need to be careful of. It's not the horror stories of this Filipina scammed me or this expat got killed in the Philippines by a Filipino. Most of that stuff is really easily avoided. But sometimes you'll have a lot of problems with other expats. My advice is really be careful of who your friends are here in the Philippines. I've really narrowed it down to just a handful of friends that I can count on one hand. And that's all I need. I like to hang out with them on occasion, not all the time. They have their shit together. They have income. They're intelligent guys. They're not chick boys or playboys. Stay away from all that nonsense and just try to surround yourself with good guys. No different than if you're living back in the West. For some reason, a lot of people, they get out here and just because the other person is from maybe the same country, they feel like all of a sudden there's some bond, like they're friends now because he's from the U.S. and I'm from the U.S. We should magically become best friends. In reality, a lot of times, if you were back in the U.S. or Canada or Australia, you may have nothing in common with this person and have nothing to do with them. But all of a sudden, when you're here in the Philippines, just because he's from your country or maybe the same region, all of a sudden, you feel like you guys are best friends now. And so I don't get that. You still have to vet friends just like you would anywhere else. Just be careful. And some of these guys they come out here and they've got mental issues and they're drunks and obviously it's not all of them. There's plenty of good expats out there, a lot of good guys married with families here, a lot of single expats that are good guys, but just be careful. That's basically all I'm trying to say in this video. Just be careful of who your friends are, vet them out and make sure they are a good person before you're just hanging around some of these expats. So hopefully this helps a little bit, and go ahead and comment down below with any kind of experience you've had. Hit the subscribe button and the bell notification to stay up to date with the latest content, and down below go ahead and follow me on my Patreon account and you can get exclusive video footage on dating and marriage tips here in the Philippines. Thank you very much. Take care.
Please subscribe to